Welcome to Narrate Your Story TV. This is the show that we bring to you every Thursday, 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. That's right, every Thursday, 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. My name is Dr. Christy Iwuchukwu, and when I am not doing this show, I help female entrepreneurs in the early stage of their business create impactful and captivating stories that align with their offers so that they can convert sales. I help you package and sell your expertise using storytelling. Listen, I am super excited. This show is about bringing guests that has gone through things and overcome to help you navigate life and business. And today is no exception. My guest today is Dr. Lawana Parker. So who is Dr. Lawana Parker? Dr. Lawana is coming to us all the way from Sacramento. That's right. She is a blogger, an author, a journal coach. Please help me welcome this amazing woman doing things around the world. Welcome to the show, Dr. Lawana.
Thank you. And thank you so much for inviting me. It's such a pleasure to be here on your show today.
Awesome. You and I met a few years ago, and we've been friends and connecting ever since. And I know one thing, that Dr. Lawana is one person that you know as a friend, you can trust her. So let me, without talking too much about me and our friendship, tell the audience who don't know who you are. Who are you?
Okay, well, thank you. I am Dr. Lawana Parker, and I manage a weekly journal and creative writing group. I am a weekly host on the iHeartRadio and also podcast show. I am an award-winning international 3 times best-selling author. I'm a professional blogger, international public speaker. I host events. I just got tongue-tied there, but I do host events for entrepreneurs and other speakers who want to get their message out. And I'm also a 3 times DTM Toastmasters Award recipient.
So for those of you that don't know what DTM is, she's a proud member of Toastmasters International, and DTM stands for Distinguished Toastmasters. So listen, I've always said that, people see people where they are at the pinnacle, at the mountaintop. They have arrived. But I've always said there's always a journey through the valley, because you cannot go through you can't go to the mountaintop, you can't go to the pinnacle without going through the valley. It is the walk through the valley that we learn the greatest lessons. So share with our audience, how has that journey through the valley been for you?
It was a long journey. I won't say it was a rough journey, other than the sense that I couldn't figure out what I wanted to do. I'm one of those people who has skills in doing a number of things, but unfortunately, none of those things drew passion from me, where I would just get up in the morning, can't wait to get out there and get going. So that was the roughest part of the journey for me. Once I found out what I wanted to do, or was told, I say by God, that he told me what it was he wanted me to do, I embraced it, and it's opened doors for me because it led into something that I really do enjoy doing, which is writing. I just never thought about doing it far as a business is concerned. The great thing is now I get up, I'm excited. I'm always looking forward to being a part of someone's program. So yeah, the roughest thing for me was that. Now, I will admit that there are other things, because when you're in business for yourself, now you have to keep yourself motivated.
Awesome. So, there are people looking at you right now, as young as you are. You've retired, but during your retirement, you said to yourself, listen, I have accumulated over my years a lot of experience that I want to share with the world. I don't mind playing bingo, but I don't want to play bingo all the time. There may be people at that stage right now where they have retired, thinking to themselves, I can't do that. This is the era of technology. This is the era of social media. I don't even know where to start. I'd rather just you know, do whatever, but not do business or not get on social media, because we get into business for so many reasons. For
Mm.
financial reasons, for some people it's just to share their message, whether they are helping people just for helping people because that's what they love to do. That becomes a hobby, right? Because if
Mm-hmm.
it's a business, they're getting financial payoff for it. That becomes a hobby, but they're happy doing that. So tell our audience, how has it been for you taking your hat off as a 9 to 5 person, as an employee, and putting on another hat as a business person? How has that been for you?
Now that is a story in itself. I, I, when I left my job, I really wasn't ready to retire. I'll be honest about that. But I thought, hey, now I can sleep in. I can read all the books that I want without interruption. I thought of all these things that I could do that I complained about being able to do when I was working at 9 to 5. And then reality hit, and I realized that the difference in pay was tremendous. So I did need to get back into the job market, except that because of my age, and thank you for calling me saying that I was young, because those who know me know I've already made my Diamond Jubilee year. Um, at any rate, I discovered that there weren't too many people interested in hiring somebody of my age. So that was kind of depressing.
Hmm.
It led me, I didn't realize it at first, but it did lead me to being very depressed. And I ended up writing about that and
Mhm.
later turned that into a book. Now, once I, once the Lord told me I was going to start with journaling, I had to let people know what I was going to be doing. And the only way to do that is through social media. And I shouldn't say only, because there's still advertising in magazines and things like that. But for
Yeah.
me, because we're going through COVID, I can't go out there and mingle with everybody, but I need to let people know what I'm doing. And I had to get past the fact that I didn't like going on social media, get past the fact that I didn't want people to see me in videos on social media, getting past the fact of just telling people about what I was doing because I grew up in an era when that kind of sounded like you were bragging and you didn't do that. You
Yes.
let other people do that for you. So I had to get past those things. And sometimes I still, waffle in there. But it's the only way to get people know who you are, get your story out there. And then once people um, know what you're doing, then they want to know how they can be involved if they like your message.
You brought up some points. You made some points, and because there may be people watching this, or they will share with other people. You made a point that when you're retired or you were forced to retire, in other words, laid off or your company went out of business, whatever the case may be, you weren't quite ready for retirement because probably you had some bills that you still need to pay and so on and so forth. And you decided, okay, well, I'm going to get into doing something that I really like. What was your mindset? How did you navigate? What was your mindset, and how did you navigate that mindset as a person starting a business?
Well,
Especially a mature person is different. If you are still a young thing, it's different when you are a matured person. And there's a lot of things that you have to juggle. And I want you to continue, please.
yes. The thing about advancing in years, you have all this knowledge, but people are looking at your age. At least businesses are looking at your age, and they're thinking that you're going to be taking time off because you got to go take care of this. These are things that happen to your body and whatnot. So people weren't really excited about me once they found out my age.
Mm-hmm.
And I, after a while, realized, you know what? I don't really want to go back to work for somebody else. I mean, I'd worked 50 years, and honestly, I didn't have much to show for it, except a lot of bills. Um, but at the same time, like so many people, I felt I didn't really have the knowledge because I chose not to go to college. I personally felt college was not for me, so I didn't go. I had no regrets about it until this. And then suddenly people got all these things behind their name, and it's just me, Lawana Parker, you know. And it made me feel somewhat insecure.
Mm-hmm.
And it did take a while because I kept thinking about all the things that I knew how to do, but I had no certification, no anything that said I knew how to do this and it's
Mm-hmm.
okay for you to trust me.
Mm-hmm.
I was just an individual who knew things, and had to go by that and figure out what it was that I actually wanted. And as I said before, I felt God directed me to go into journaling, and journaling led into writing, and it also led into me doing proofreading for people. So it's been a nice journey. And then when I discovered people, there are a lot of people who want to speak and they don't know where to go. So that provided another platform for me to do because I enjoy speaking as well.
You brought up a few points when you were talking, and one of them being, as a new person coming as a new entrepreneur, a woman, a female in the early stage of her business, and you have this mindset. The mindset is always like, where do I start? Number one, I've worked for 50 years, and now all of a sudden, um, for whatever reason, I was forced to retire when I didn't really want to retire, right?
Mhm,
Because I've
mhm,
always said, plan your retirement before you retire. Doesn't matter how many years you work, plan your retirement. It's always good to have options when it comes to retirement. You can say, oh, I don't want to do this anymore. But when you are not ready and you're forced into retirement early, that's a different thing altogether. Maybe you haven't planned everything at the same time. But your mindset at that time, oh, well,
mhm,
I don't want to have to go back and maybe having somebody lay me off again. I don't want to go back to walk into somebody again. But there's some inner work that you have to do to allow you to put on a different hat, being a business person. And like you said so well, sometimes it's scary, and the
mhm,
lack of confidence, and wondering, would any the people are not going to take you serious because perhaps you don't have a lot of certificates at that time under your name. But
mhm,
you and I know, or I know now, that you don't have to have a lot of certificates on what you want to do. Yet I'm a speaker myself, and I help female turn their stories into their signature, so I can help them create stories and speak on platforms, right?
mhm, mhm,
But
mhm.
there's that mindset that, oh my God, nobody knows who I am. Who's going to want to hear me when I speak? How did you navigate that? How did you navigate that mindset?
I met someone who became my coach for a while, and I have to give her credit, Dr. Patricia Rogers. This is a lady who she's out there. That's the best way I can say it. She is really out there, and she loves the camera.
And I got to meet her, I think, at your event last time. Great lady indeed. Right.
Mhm. And she told me, she was the one who told me that if you don't get on social media and let people know who you are and what you're doing, then you might as well consider this a hobby that you're doing at home because nobody's going to know to come to you. They know nothing about you. And so she would encourage, she's one of those who got behind me and would encourage me constantly. You can do this. you can do that. And I started speaking on her stage. I started posting on Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn, and sometimes I would do Twitter. you know. Uh, but it was because of her that I actually started doing that. Now I had a podcast show and I had an internet TV show that I was doing, and I didn't mind doing those because I pre-recorded those. It
Mm-hmm.
wasn't
Mm-hmm.
live, so people would see me making the silly mistakes that I couldn't correct because it's live.
Yes,
You had
yes.
to go out there and put yourself out there. And I had people who said, you know what? Don't worry about how you look. Don't worry about mistakes that you made because you know what? Getting it done is better than perfecting it because each time you do it, you're going to get a little bit better. And those are the kind of people you need behind you to be there with you, to talk to you, because it's so easy for us to get discouraged. It's that little voice in our head.
And so what you basically saying is, which is a good another point you brought up, I really like it. The fact that oftentimes, if we leave things up to ourselves, we can easily get discouraged, especially
Mhm,
if you're starting out in business. Get
mhm,
somebody, get a mentor, get a coach, get
mhm,
somebody, an accountability partner, somebody that will help you lift you up. Because I'm telling you, once somebody realizes that they can do it. It's
mhm,
amazing. It's amazing what they can do. It's about believing in yourself. But when you are wallowing in the pity and you talk to nobody, no networking, you don't want to hire a coach, you don't want to get a mentor, right?
mhm,
Some are
mhm,
paid, some are non paid. Not all the mentors are paid. Some are paid, some are non paid. But get somebody that can help you get out of that wherever you are, out of that stink. Get somebody to help you get out. Because, for one thing, though, one thing I notice is that for the most part, you will be on the sideline. But you know you wanted to impact life. You know you wanted to help people. You know you want to
mhm,
be out there inspiring, motivating, empowering people. But at the same time, your thoughts, your
mhm.
negative thoughts, is not going to let you do that unless you work on yourself, your mindset. But talk to me. Let's talk about your journaling.
Mhm.
You journal, and you know, one thing I like about you, Dr. Lowana, you never give up. No matter what, you never give up. There's something that you told me that surprised me recently, and I want you to talk about that. And that is your journaling. And you say you have journaled consistently for how many days?
Well, let me. Well, first of all, I wanted to address the fact that mm, you had mentioned about people being behind you and helping you because you can't do it. I want to address the fact there are always an exception to that rule. There are
Okay.
some people who have that ability to motivate themselves and stay motivated. Okay, so I don't want to just dismiss them because they're just as important too.
Now, Dr. Lawana, we're talking about consistency. We're talking about persistence. And when it comes to being persistent in what somebody wants, you are the queen, my dear. And recently we were talking and you told me that you have blogged consistently for how many days?
800 days.
You
Well,
have blogged
it will be officially 800 days on October the 16th.
October the 16th. So
It'll
you'll be
be
800.
800 days consistently blogging every single day. And it started out as a 30-day thing. And at
Mhm.
the end of the 30 days, my intention had been to, do it maybe once or twice a week. But I got in the habit of doing it every day. And I thought, well, let me see just how long I can do it. So I was excited when I made 100. And then I thought, well, let's see if I can make another 100. And I just kept going. And after a while, I kind of got comfortable and confident in myself that I was doing this. And because they have a counter. on WordPress. So it keeps track every time I post something. And I do it
Mm.
every day. And so when I looked at the counter the other day, I had 783 at that time of the
Wow.
and so I'm looking at them going, wow, in a few days I'm gonna have 800. I have to mark this, make notice of it. So
Yes,
I'm
we have
planning
to
on doing
celebrate.
something on Facebook, alerting people to how many blog posts I have up. Yeah.
What made it possible for you? What do you think that made it possible for you to blog consistently for that long? What made it possible, and how can somebody do the same? What will make it
Well,
possible or easier for somebody to follow suit? Maybe not up to that many, but I try if there is something that they are interested in blogging.
I'll put it this way. I met a woman. Her name is Grace Wong,
Mm,
and she blogged every day. And we were talking about it one time because I asked her, how often do you blog? And she told me she blogged every day. And every day. And she said, yes. She said, sometimes I don't feel like it, but I made a commitment that I would do it. So I do it. So when I started blogging, anytime I thought about giving up, I remembered what she said. So regardless of how tired I am,
mhm.
I blog something up there, even if, like when I was sick and I really couldn't do a lot of writing, I would put
Yes.
quotes up there, either image quotes or some quotes that I have because I have a whole list of quotes, and I would just put that up there because I had committed that I was going to do this every day, and I was determined not to let anything stop me from doing that.
Mhm.
So because of her, that's what made me do the commitment. It's that was a challenge for me, and I had to stick to it. And I'm wondering, what am I going to do when I hit 800? Am I going to stop or continue on? I
Well,
believe
you can't stop there.
I'll probably continue on because I do enjoy doing it.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's amazing. Again, it's about not giving up. And
Mhm.
I am so thrilled to talk about your success and what you have accomplished. For somebody who would have said, given up and said, no, I'm okay. I don't want to do anything. But you said, hey, I don't know social media, but I'm getting out there. I don't know technology, but I'm getting out there. And let me tell you, I commend you for a job well done, doing a great job. So let's talk about journaling. That's
Mhm.
one of your babies,
Yes,
journaling.
yes.
And what got you into journaling?
Well, as I said, I when I got sick, the word journaling kept running around in my head like crazy, and I eventually decided that maybe that's what the Lord was telling me. He was
Mhm.
tired of me whining and complaining. What is it that you want me to do? What's my calling? You know how we are. We don't know what it is we're supposed to do,
Yes, tell me about
and
it.
we start asking the Lord. And he he might have been telling me all along, and I wasn't
Mm,
listening. So I say he caused me to get sick. So I
mm,
would have to listen to what he had to say. And what he said was journal. And the journaling led to proofreading, led to writing. And I am happy to say that a couple of my ladies have already post, have already published books on Amazon.com
yay!
because they were able to get out there and they started doing it. They wanted to write and they're doing that.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Wow, that's a big accomplishment. That's a big accomplishment. So for somebody, I journal, I don't journal every day, right? I don't journal consistently. I do journal.
Mhm.
Now, I know for me, the reason I love journaling is that sometimes I go back and I read what I've journaled, and it just amazes me. And sometimes I have forgotten it altogether. But when I go back and read it, I was like, oh my God, this happened. I can't believe it. And sometimes it could be really just be a message, like you said, from God or
Mm-hmm.
for whoever you believe in, right? That,
Mm-hmm.
but when you write it down, oftentimes in my own journey, I find out that a lot of things that transpired was already shown to me in a vision, in a dream. That when I will write it down, I come to find out, oh my God. But I said to myself, wow, it would really be nice if I can do this every day. The question is, what stops me from doing it every day? Because I'm really enjoying journaling. It's like, what stops me from doing it every day? So, talk to me about journaling. Somebody who would like to journal. And then we dive into the next question, which will be about why journal? What is the reason? But tell me about journaling in general.
Well, journaling in general can help you in so many ways. It can help you discover who you are. It can help you uh, through your motivations. It can help you through projects you've got planned. You can create travel journals or gratitude journals. There's so many different types of journals that you can have. In fact, probably as many as there are things that you can do in the world. Uh,
Mhm.
but I'll tell you the three that I think are most important when it comes to journaling. But in general, I look at it as, for me, as a way to communicate with God, because when I write what's in there, what's on my head, and I put it down on paper, and I go back and read it, as you say, days later, sometimes I get answers that come to me just from rereading something that I've written. And so I decided that was the way God was communicating with me. He got tired of me whining and complaining. So so he started doing it that way to get my attention. Journaling just has so many benefits, and as I said before, I could not possibly tell you all the benefits that you can get from just sitting down and writing.
Before
And
you cut, before I want to ask you the benefit, but you know one thing I noticed when I journal, I realized it was like pouring your heart out undiluted. Undiluted, because sometimes when I read what I journal, I don't think if I'm with my senses that I would have said the things I said. Even when things are not going well, or I'm not happy, or I'm happy and I'm journaling, it's like undiluted. And I
mm,
go back and read it, I say, oh my God, this is exactly how I felt at that particular time. It's amazing, but oftentimes when you put on the other gear and you're trying to sanitize the message, you find out that you're writing it differently, right? So talk to
mhm.
us. Why should we journal? Give us about few reasons or three or whatever you can. Why should
I
we journal?
Okay, I'm gonna give you three reasons, but
Okay.
I do want to say something with that you just commented on. A
Uh-huh.
journal is your best friend. You can tell it anything. In fact, if you're angry with someone, I encourage you to go and write about it first before you say something. Because once you say something to an individual, you may say something that you didn't really want to, and you destroy a friendship or a
Mhm.
family member because of
Yes.
what came out of your mouth. Whereas if you take the time to write it down and reread it, you can decide, is this something I should be saying, or should I just go a roundabout way of letting them know I didn't approve of something they did? Yeah.
I
Anyway,
totally
it's your best friend because it's not going to judge you. It's not going to talk back to you. It's not going to call you names. But to get to your question, my three reasons that I think people should journal: stress, gratitude, and to create a legacy or book. Now, scientists have already proven that stress creates heart problems and other health issues. But when
Mhm.
you write and get that stuff out of your system, you
Got you.
reduce and take away that stress. When it comes to gratitude, I don't do it, but it is a good idea to do. Is write every day something that you're grateful for. Because if you're grateful for the things that you have, and I have so many things that I'm grateful for, I just haven't written them down. But when you have that, you don't have time to feel sorry for yourself. You don't have time to worry about what you don't have. You don't have time to be looking at somebody else and being envious of what they have, because you can open that book up and look at the list of things that you've written that says, I am grateful for. I'm grateful every morning that I wake up, because it's another day that I have an opportunity to help someone, another day that I have a chance to spend in what I call a beautiful world. So I thank God every morning for it. And when I go to bed at night, I thank Him that He allowed me to have this day, because I didn't have to have the whole day. He could take me out at any point. And so yeah. And then the third one is the legacy and book. That's so important. I think
Mm,
all of us should write about some of the things that we've gone through and how we handled them,
mm.
because when we're gone, you don't have a way to communicate and say, don't do this, don't go there. But if you've left something behind of what you've experienced, and your family can read that, and it's almost like you're talking to them from the grave. You can take that if you want to share with more than your family and create a book. Now you're going to affect so many more people, because they're going to read the things that you went through and how you handled it. And this might be somebody out there who really needs to hear what you did, because they're going through the same situation and they don't know how to get out of it.
And you had a good example with your son. You told a story one time about, talk a little bit about that. Just a minute.
Well, my son, when he started kindergarten, I gave him a journal, and it was called School Days. And I never thought about that journal again once I gave it to him. I have four sons, but he was the only one that I gave a journal to, because of the first one. You do a lot of things for the first that you forget when the others come along. Uh, but he kept that journal. And when he went into the military,
Mm-hmm.
my son died in a car accident.
Sorry to hear
And
that.
the military sent all his personal effects back to me. And I looked at it, I saw the journal, I was surprised that he still had it and had
Mm,
taken it with him. But I didn't really look at it because it just wasn't time. I was
mhm,
still grieving
mhm,
and trying to carry on for the rest of my family, because they needed me to be strong.
mhm.
And I looked at it months later one time, but again, I just kind of set it down. But it wasn't until after I went through this where the Lord directed me to journal. And I remembered the journal and I went and pulled it out. And I was able to watch my son grow from kindergarten to an adult in the
Wow.
military all over again, because he put pictures in there. He didn't do a lot of writing, stuck a report card, things like that. But being a boy and not writing wasn't really his thing. He didn't do a lot of writing, but I appreciate what he did, because it gave me something to make me feel better and to remind me of the son that he was. And I was very proud of my son, proud of all of my children, but that was the firstborn one. And
Yes.
always something that's just a little different about the first one that sticks with you somehow.
Oh my God. So many years later, after his death, you
Hmm.
still remember because he kept that diary, and you were able to read a lot of stuff that you would not otherwise have read
Hmm.
had it been that you didn't have that diary. So, when you're talking about diary, I'm thinking when you talked about when you have a problem, writing down your problem, which I'm good at. But then the second part of it is what you said. how you resolve that problem. When you have a personal problem, how you resolve that problem. And you know what? That is so true, because as you are talking, I'm thinking about it. That would, if somebody else was to pick up that diary, right, and
Mm-hmm.
read it, but then I don't know, because maybe sometimes some of it is so personal that you don't want somebody else to read your diary.
Well, that's the thing. You make the decision about if you're writing personal, really personal stuff that you don't want people to read. You make sure you keep that locked away and have make arrangement for it to be destroyed or something when you pass. And you don't have to keep them. I mean, there are people who, when they fill up one, they throw it in the trash, rip it up and throw it in the trash because they don't want somebody else reading it in the in the family. So you don't have to keep them. It's up to you as to what you want to do.
That was my
Me,
next
I want,
question.
yeah, I
That,
want the family to know some things about me. I don't know if I would go into some of the personal situations that I got myself out of.
yes, yes, that's
But
what I was going to ask you.
mhm,
What
I don't-
about, what about those personal things that you write that is just for you? You know,
right,
you
right.
write, it's just for you. Would you really want families or friends to read those
Hmm.
after you're gone? Or if not, what do you do with them? What
Yeah.
do you do? Right, because sometimes we don't know when we're going to die,
Well, it's
right?
rare that we know when we're going to. That's why.
Some people say they have signs, but
That's that's why some people, when they fill that book up, will rip it up and
oh,
just destroy it. Rip it up
oh,
and throw it in the trash. Garbage person gets it. They don't know who it belongs to if they're gonna take the time and trouble to piece it
yeah.
back together,
It's
which I
really,
doubt seriously.
you
But that's
know,
what some people do. They just need to get stuff out of their system. It's because we hold so much stuff in. My personal belief, because we hold so much stuff in, that we create some of the health problems that we have. You asked me one time, how come I don't get sick? And I honestly believe because I don't keep things in me. If it's there for a little while and then I'm through with it. The only
that's
thing
true.
the only thing that problem that I and that we're all guilty of this is those negative thoughts. I have to fight those all the time because they
Mhm.
want to get in there and they want to stay.
So before we recap, I want you to recap the three reasons why, or the benefits of journaling.
All right. Well, my three that I personally believe are important, and as I mentioned before, there are so many more, but I think relieving stress,
Relieve the stress,
gratitude for the things that you have in your life,
the gratitude for the things that you have in your life,
mhm, and to either leave a legacy or write a book.
to leave a legacy, or write a book. Those are the three benefits for journaling.
Mm-hmm.
And I just want to take the time and thank you so much. You have dropped a lot of nuggets. If people are watching this, they're going to get a lot of nuggets. And I hope that as people watch, they go ahead and share the message, because you never know whose life this will impact by watching this video. Watching, blessing people, you watch and you bless. Because if you don't share this video, other people will not be blessed. So I want to take the time and thank you so much. But before we close, tell our audience how they can contact you if they want to learn more about writing, learn more about journaling.
Well, I'm going to put a link in the chat where you can make an appointment with me because I
Okay.
do have a 90-minute session that I do weekly where we do journal and creative writing, and it's free to you. There's no charge for that. So you're welcome to become a part of the group. As I said, I don't want to just put the link because I don't want just anybody popping in. So I like to talk to you and find out who you are and what your interest is. And because the people especially the ones who journal, we actually share stuff.
Okay.
We, if they write something really, really personal, they won't share that. but they do share things, and I want to make sure whoever's a part of the group is not going to take what they hear and go spread it around. So
Awesome.
make appointment with me, and if we connect, you're welcome to become a part of the group and write right along with us. I also write and share as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much. For audience, again, I encourage you as you watch this video, as you watch this conversation, go ahead and share it with other people. Share it with other people because I've always said that sharing is blessing. And people cannot be blessed unless they get to watch these videos. That's a lot of nuggets. You never know who needs this information today. And when I am not doing this show, I help female entrepreneurs in the early stage of their business create memorable, impactful, and captivating stories that align with their offer so that they can convert, sell. Listen, we do this every Thursday, 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. And until next week, bye, everybody. And bye, Dr. Lawana. Take care.
Fine. And
Bye-bye.
thank you again for having me on your show.